Hey guys, if you haven't already, give the video a like, subscribe to my channel. This is a what if series and I'll be doing more down the road. Plus Ultra. Hey guys, and welcome back to the 14,000 subscriber special. Now this video is going to be longer. I'm going to keep dragging this special out. I'm trying to drag it as much out as I can because I'm trying to make these videos spicy. But anyway, yeah, with that being said, let's go over a few things before we go into the video. So, one thing I gotta let y'all know is that when I put stuff in my community tab, it's stuff that projects I'm working on and stuff that might come in 2 weeks or a month or 2 months. You never know. But other than that, after this video, I'm gonna upload part 7 to what if Luffy ate the Guru no Mi, part 4 to what if Naruto's Meat Series Reincarnation, and part 3, the final part, to what if Naruto gave in to hatred. And that's pretty much going to be it for that. At least the final part for that what if. And then I'm going to touch back into some old stuff that I got. I'm still getting thumbnails made. I still got to release part 3 to what if Naruto was Sonic's reincarnation. I need to get a thumbnail made for that one. But anyway, let's get back into where we left off. So Naruto and team, they basically handled everything at the Land of Waves. And yeah, so basically they make their way back to the Leaf Village. And Kakashi would go report to the third Hokage. Now, during this time, Sasuke, Sakura, and Naruto is basically getting ready to go out on his own until he gets bumped by a child and he looks down to see Konohamaru. Now, Naruto gives Konohamaru a very angered look. Konohamaru hides behind Sasuke. And Sasuke looks at Naruto and says, "Naruto, do you have to look at him like that? Jesus Christ." And Naruto just basically and walks off. Before Konohamaru asks Sasuke, do he have any new jutsus to teach him? So yeah, basically Konohamaru and Sasuke are the ones that are friends, and Naruto basically does not want to be around Konohamaru. He doesn't want to be around anyone, to be exact. Anyway, so as everything plays out normally, day would go by, and this is where Konohamaru and Sasuke are just walking through the village. Now, they ended up playing tag together, but Konohamaru ends up bumping into Kankuro. Now, this is where Naruto is sitting up in the tree. Now, Kankuro calms Konohamaru by the hair, and Sasuke comes up in a blitz of speed and kicks Konohamaru in the stomach. Now, Naruto is watching all this happen from the tree, but then he darts his eyes back. And Gaara literally had to dodge what Naruto literally was about to do. Gaara dodged Naruto and appeared right next to Temari and Kankuro with his eyes widening, because everyone just heard this right here. Basically, Naruto just breathes in and just says, "Wind breathing, third form, clean storm wind tree." Now Naruto slashes his sword, basically unleashing a whirlwind of slashes around his body, basically destroying the tree and almost cutting Gaara across the chest. Now Gaara jumps away from Naruto, basically appearing right next to Temari, like I said, next to Temari and Kankuro, like I said earlier. Now this is where Gaara is looking at Naruto, and Naruto is looking at Gaara, and he says, "You snuck up behind me, but you managed to dodge that. I don't see how you did it, but you're lucky because I was getting ready to cut your goddamn head off. What the hell are you doing behind me like a freak?" Naruto would have his sword pointed at Gaara, which Gaara would have a maniacal smile on his face and say, he would just be clutching his face and say, this guy would be good food for mother." As the both of them are basically looking at each other with angry scowls in their face. Gaara's is more sadistic and smiley, while Naruto's is more like serious and crazed. Now, the both of them are looking at each other, but Naruto just basically he sheaves his blade, looks at Gaara, and then basically just walks off saying, "Just stay the hell out of my way. And I don't know what the three of you doing here, but you might want to not do that again. Put the third Hokage, stuttering all over the place. But you might not want to do that again. The third Hokage wouldn't take too kindly to someone outside of this village threatening his grandson." And Kankuro would sweat by this, but this is where Gaara would look at it and say, "Kankuro, Temari, if you act out of a mission again, I will kill the both of you. Let's go." And this is where Temari would look back and say, "For your information, we're here for the tuning exams." And Naruto would rub his head and say, "The tuning exams. Well, this should be fun." As Naruto would have a smile on his face. That Sanemi smile. You know what I'm talking about. So with all that being said, Naruto and team and company will basically, or Naruto would go and train, and Sasuke and Sakura would be there training with him. Now, over the course of training, while they're learning new techniques, learning to new taijutsu moves and stuff like that, this is where Kakashi would come in and tell the team, "Hey, you guys, so I recommended you for the Chunin exams. So, with that being said, you have a choice. Do you want to basically join the Chunin exams, or you don't have to, and basically you can quit. You don't have to join if you feel like it's too dangerous for y'all." But the way Team 7 is built, they say yes, off rip. Now, of course, when they get to the first part of the Chunin exams, Naruto basically sees Tenten get slapped by the god, and all of a sudden the sword would be at his neck. He's holding Tenten directly in his arms, and he looks at the guy with malice in his eyes. Tenten looks at Naruto, and she tells him to calm down. She looks him directly in his eyes, and Naruto just basically, okay. Now, Sasuke and Sakura are a bit shocked by this. Of course, Neji and Rock Lee are shocked by this too. Neji asks, "Wait, you know this guy, don't you?" And this is where Tenten says, "Yes, me and Naruto have a long-lasting friendship." Now, this is from one of you guys in the comments when I put a poll in a few days ago saying that should Naruto have somebody to keep him in check? And I think realistically, it would be more of Tenten since she's more of a weapons person. And Naruto has been training Tenten a lot. And I mean a lot. Don't take that in a sick way, you perverts. But anyway, they just say that Naruto, like Tenten, the way she was in canon, she's way more skilled than she was in canon. And I'm kind of thinking I want to give her a breathing style because, let's be honest, even though the breathing styles are more realistically to Naruto, I feel like she should have something, but I won't go that route because I'm too far into the story and I don't want to go down that route of giving it one. But maybe down the road, I might revisit Tenten's character and give her a breathing style or something like that. Maybe something different. I might not just go down the Demon Slayer route, but I might. I possibly might. I might do this with each individual character so that it feels unique to just them, making the useless characters get more relevant. You feel me? Anyway, so with all that being said, Tenten calms Naruto down, and then they all call Herx and talk how Tenten knows Naruto, and they basically grew up together. And Naruto didn't feel the need to tell anybody because, in Naruto's words, it's none of your goddamn business. And Naruto just walks off, with Tenten slapping him upside the head and say, "Don't be mean," which Naruto turned back and gave her an angry look, to which she returned, and the both of them would get into an argument with each other, but Tenten would end up winning and putting Naruto in his place. Well, not necessarily put him in his place, but just kept him in check, to which Naruto would just scoff by. But Tenten looks at Naruto and say, "You're so rowdy. Why are you so angry?" And Naruto would just look at Tenten and just say, "I don't know." Now, this is where they would take the written test. Now, Naruto wouldn't do as poorly as he did in canon. Naruto would actually pass the test with ease. Naruto is not as stupid as he was in canon. I'm not saying Naruto is stupid, but he's not dumb. Basically, he didn't do the shit that he did in canon with standing up and making a declaration. Now, sorry about the pause, but although Naruto did this, hey, all of you in this class, don't get in my way. It's a reason this is called the Chunin exams. It's only one of us who can be on top, and that's gonna be me. All of you people, well, low-ranked Genins need to quit now while you're ahead, because once the next phase come, it's life or death, kill or be killed. It's up to you to make the choice whether you want to leave this classroom and keep your life intact, or go into the forest of death and miss a limb or two, because I do not discriminate with my blade. Now, with Naruto saying that, most of the kids in the classroom would have a chill, but Tenten would walk over to Naruto and bonk him upside the head again, telling Naruto to quiet down and stop scaring most of the classmates in the class. This is where Naruto would say, "Stop hitting me!" And Tenten would grab Naruto by the shoulder and say, "Shut up and stop scaring people." To which Naruto would say, whatever, and look away. To Tenten just looking at Naruto with a very just, and walk back to her seat, which Ikubi would just be looking at it and say, these two are unique. Now, with that being said, everything would play out just like it did in canon, with Ikubi doing the last 10th question, with some of them leaving, not because of the 10th question this time. This is because of Naruto's attitude, and most of the kids really don't want to see what this guy is capable of, because he did give off a very intimidating, well, a very bloodlusted aura just a few seconds ago, and they don't really, not too comfortable with that. So most of the students would leave just like in canon. Now, we're going to do a time skip to which Anko would come like bursting into the window and they would all journey to the Forest of Death. Now this is where she is explaining everything to the students about the Earth Scroll, the Heaven Scroll, and the dangers of the Forest of Death, even giving them waivers so that the Leaf Village wouldn't be held accountable for any deaths or missing limbs or basically traumatization that they may experience in the Forest of Death. Now with that, Naruto is coaxing with, well, basically going over plans with Sasuke and, well, he's basically going over Sasuke and Sakura. I don't know why I stuttered on that one, but it is what it is. Now, while he's doing that, a kunai goes flying at Naruto, to which he just basically blocks with his sword. Now, his sword is still sheathed up, but it's not pulled out. He's not basically finna attack Anko, but he just basically blocked the kunai, and he looked at Anko and said, "What the hell is your problem, lady?" And she tells him to quiet down, that she's explaining the Forest of Death. And Naruto basically looks at Anko and tells her to shut her goddamn mouth, that he's explaining the plan to his teammates. Anko would have a forehead tick at this, and she would walk over to Naruto, getting ready to basically punch him, and Naruto looks at her. This Naruto is looking at Anko in the face and says, "What? You're gonna do something?" And Tenten would look at Naruto with a very angry look, to which Naruto would happen to see, and she would tell, like, that basically her look would just instillate fear into Naruto. Not fear to the point like, "I'm scared of you, I'm trenching down, I'm crying," or nothing like that. It would just let Naruto to basically stop that part. So with that, Naruto basically just says, "Whatever," and looks away, and Anko would then just say, "What is wrong with you?" And she would just walk away, basically just sighing at this, because she let herself get mad at basically a child. But hey, it is what it is. So she would let this kid just run into the Forest of Death, and everything would play out normally. Now, with that, Sasuke would come up with a code to which Naruto would remember. It would be a very difficult code, but then Naruto would come up with a counterplay. And Naruto would say, "Don't trust the first person that recites this code. I will come up with something that only I would do. And you know what that is." Now, with that being said, Naruto then tells Sasuke and Sakura, "You guys, wait right here. I have to take a leak." Now, he would walk into the forest and then basically take a leak to point when somebody comes out to try and jump Naruto, and he would kill literally the both of them. Now, he would basically be coming out and wipe the blood off his blade, to which Sasuke and Sakura would see Naruto, and Naruto would say, "Some guys tried to jump me. Who jumps a guy while he's taking a leak? Perverts." Naruto would sheathe his blade, but Naruto would then just breathe out and then open his senses. This is where Naruto would say, "Wind breathing. Claws of purifying wind," as Naruto swings his sword, unleashing 4 wind blades that swings at this giant-ass snake that was getting ready to swallow Naruto, cutting the snake in 4 different pieces. To which Naruto would say, "So this place has big-ass snakes now? Great. More things to deal with. Let's go get the scrolls and get out of this place. This is giving me the creeps." And this is where Sasuke would say, "Wait, this place is way more fitting for you, Naruto, than anything." Naruto would say, "What is that?" And him and Sasuke would get into a confusing bout with each other, to which Sakura would have to break up and hit the both of them upside the head and tell them to stop. This is not the time or place. To which Naruto would retort in saying, "Don't hit me," and Sasuke saying, "Ouch." To which all 3 of them would then journey through the Forest of Death. But then they would be encountered by a female, to which Naruto would look at and start analyzing, saying that this is not ordinary. Why is someone like this guy in here? What looks like you don't seem to be tuning material or getting material. You look like you're Jonin. You look like you're older. And this is where Naruto would just start putting pieces together in his head. He's starting to use his brain and think. But more of Naruto's style is when this guy starts to attack or use a genjutsu, Naruto just basically cuts himself across the skin. And this is where Naruto starts to bleed. And Naruto basically coats his hand in blood. And this is where Naruto smears his blood over his face. And what Naruto does, basically, Sasuke looks at this and says, "Naruto, what is wrong with you?" And Naruto says, "Something about my blood is perfect. It's special. I don't know what it is, but watch this. Naruto rushes at Orochimaru, and Orochimaru just licks his lips. And the both of them get into a fight with each other, an intensifying fight, to which Orochimaru then starts to slow down. And he says, do you like it? My blood intoxicates people. It gives off this intoxicating genjutsu to the point where I can do this. Now that you're intoxicated, you won't be able to dodge this strike. Naruto then jumps up into the air. Wind breathing. Sixth form, Gale Sudden Gust, as he swings his blade, which generates gale force winds, shredding Orochimaru apart, cutting off his head, arms, and legs, all in one motion. Now, this is where Naruto jumps back to the team and says, we have to get out of here now. I don't know who that guy is, but he has some regenerative powers. At least, look at him. As Orochimaru just basically comes out of his mouth, or basically just poofs into a substitution and said, that was impressive. This is where Naruto is still bleeding, but flings blood into Orochimaru's face. But then Orochimaru then gets slower and saying, what is this? What is this kid's blood? As Naruto and Orochimaru get into a taijutsu bout with Sasuke and Sakura joining in. Now, this is causing Orochimaru some, basically, it's putting Orochimaru on the back foot. These three genin are strong, and the one with the sword is very strong too, possibly on a high tuning level at that. But Orochimaru still has tricks up his sleeve. He's still going to leave the curse mark on Sasuke's neck. And this is where, well, Orochimaru's neck starts to elongate and stretch towards Sasuke, to which Sasuke would dodge with his Sharingan. Now, this is where Naruto would unleash his sword and cut off Orochimaru's neck, then slash at Orochimaru's chest, drawing blood. Now, this is where Orochimaru would do the same thing he did in Kankuro. Basically, Orochimaru is going to come out of his mouth again, and Naruto notes that every time he does this, he loses chakra. Now, once that being said, Naruto basically does the first form. Wind breathing, first form, dust wind whirl cutter, and slashes at Orochimaru continuously as Orochimaru is blocking the slashes, but he's still getting cut. Now, Naruto tells Sakura and Sasuke to run. He throws the scroll at both of them and tells them to gather the other one. Now, while he's gonna hold him off, get to the tower now, just get out of here. And this is where Naruto basically gives them a look, to which they oblige and run off. To which Orochimaru says, get out of my way, you brat! Punches Naruto in the stomach so hard so the boy coughs up blood, but Naruto just smiles at this and spits it in Orochimaru's face, slowing him down even more. Now, Naruto's blood is having a genjutsu effect on him. It's making Orochimaru feels like he's drunk, like he's staggering all over the place. Now, Naruto is unleashing the second form, third form, fourth form, all on Orochimaru at once, and Orochimaru is using slithering shadow snakes, basically doing everything he can to keep Naruto at bay, basically trying to get an edge or just get around Naruto. He even tried to slither around Naruto, and to the point where he was tempted to use his summoning jutsu, to which Naruto had his blade in front of him and had it at Orochimaru, pointing at him. You're a guy that's worth killing. I don't know what your intentions are, but you're not getting past me, you bastard. As Naruto is looking at Orochimaru with a very crazed look, Orochimaru is angered and basically fuming at Naruto right now, to the point he rushes at Naruto, unleashing a bunch of punches to Naruto. Face, chest, arms, just basically he hitting Naruto all over his body, and then he ends it with a huge kick to Naruto's chest, sending him crashing through bunches of trees. Now, this is where Orochimaru tries to rush at Sasuke, and Sasuke sees Orochimaru coming from a far distance, to which they're running as fast as they can, to which Naruto just comes out of nowhere and says, wind breathing, eighth form, primary gale slash, as Naruto leaps in the air and swings his blade, which generates this circular torrent of wind around his blade that slices up Orochimaru. Now, this is where Naruto continuously does that. He does the eighth form and then does the first form, and keeps doing those repeatedly, combining them two with each other, slashing at Orochimaru. Basically not combining them, but basically just making the techniques, just doing them in unison. You feel me? Now, Orochimaru and Naruto is having a backflip, but Naruto is basically starting to lose stamina at this. He can't keep up. But then all of a sudden that changes, because Naruto's stamina starts to regenerate. It starts to replenish as Naruto's eyes start to turn red and the aura radiates around Naruto, to which Naruto then gathers strength in his body. His fatigue is gone. His damage is gone. His wounds are gone. Naruto looks at this and says, this has something to do with the Nine Tails, doesn't it? This power This is incredible. I can keep going, Orochimaru. And this is where Orochimaru would be shocked, and he would say, how did you know? I can basically tell. Snakes, giant snakes, and you're trying to plant that damn curse mark thing on Naruto, well, on Sasuke. I can tell who you are. Basically, what I'm trying to say is the snakes gave you away. That's why you're a guy worth killing. You're one of the legendary Sanemi, aren't you? Now, with that, Orochimaru will just basically tisk to this and just basically vanish away, to which Naruto would be right there and slashing at smoke, to which Naruto would, like, you know how in Demon Slayer when they basically get serious and to point their pupils disappear, that's what Naruto would have looked like as he was slashing at Orochimaru. His eye, like, Orochimaru would have seen Naruto with no pupils in his eyes and knowing that sudden death was almost imminent for him, so he basically did the only best thing that he could do was get out of dodge. Now, Orochimaru judged Naruto's skill as a high tuning, but basically he might be mistaken. Naruto basically had enough strength to contend with him, and that's saying something right there. Naruto is a prodigy, no less. To contend with someone like the legendary Sanemi and Orochimaru, no less, yeah, that's saying something. Now, to which they have both of their scrolls and they journey to the tower. Not going to say how they got their scrolls, but they don't run into any more battles with that being said. And Orochimaru doesn't necessarily need to send out his basically sound trio to retrieve Sasuke. Doesn't need to happen because Sasuke doesn't have the curse mark, none of that plays out like normal. So the team makes their way to the tower, and every team, joins them on. Now, with that being said, this is where the preliminaries start. Now, this is where Tenten comes at Naruto, and Naruto basically is a little tired as he's laying against the wall, breathing heavily. As the Nine Tails did heal some of his wounds and everything, but some of that fatigue, is still there. It's not necessarily gone, because once he calmed down from the Nine Tails state, entering it, he basically felt some fatigue from it. Now, with that being said, he's just breathing heavily, but that's all that is happening. Now, Naruto sees Tenten, and the both of them cohorts with each other, getting into a conversation, to which everyone sees a totally different Naruto when he's in the presence of Tenten. It's almost like he's the most cheerful person ever. He's happy when he's around her. But when he's around anyone else, he has this angered-like attitude as if he sees everyone in the village as his enemies. To which they don't understand why. They even asked Tenten these questions, and even Neji asked these questions to why Naruto is always angry, to which she doesn't really tell them much. She just says that Naruto is basically different from everyone else. So once the preliminaries start, Sasuke goes against Yoroi, which he dog walks Yoroi. I ain't really going to explain too much of that. And then we go into the other battles. I'm going to save the Naruto versus Kiba battle for later. But Sasuke goes against Yoroi. Sakura goes against Ino, where she bodies Ino. With the training that she received from Naruto and with Sasuke there and the three of them training together, yeah. She doesn't get that little double knockout that they did in canon. No, she knocks Ino out instead. And she also has some Genjutsu that she mixes in there. Something more akin to Cherry Blossoms. I'm always going to keep that akin to Sakura, because Cherry Blossoms and Sakura, basically they coexist with each other. Anyway. So with that being said, now we get to Tenten versus Temari. And Tenten, basically has a smirk on her face because she's confident of her skills. And Temari does have a smirk on her face too. She's saying to Tenten that you're going to lose. I'm going to wipe the floor with you. And Tenten would be like, well, one thing I want to say is that if you plan on using your giant fan, I'm going to let you know now that your wind power is going to be highly at a disadvantage against me. And this is where Temari would say, what are you talking about? You think you can beat me? And she would then say, I've already fought someone who's stronger than you and he uses similar wind techniques. The only thing is different is that he has a sword and you have a fan. But I feel like his is more dangerous than yours is. And she would say, don't you dare underestimate me, as Temari pulls out her fan and launches a gust of wind at, Tenten. Basically, what Tenten does is shoot a fireball directly at Temari, not using any shurikens or nothing like that. Naruto managed to teach her some ninjutsu skills, and of course, Tenten came up with her own chakra nature. See, in this one, Tenten's chakra nature is fire. She has a high affinity for fire. So, to the point to where she pulls out a sword and coats her sword in flames and starts swinging them bitches at Temari. To which Temari, when that clashes, basically it creates a whole gust of fire, to which Tenten is using to her advantage. And what she tells Temari, the more wind you create, the more fire I'll create. And this is more dangerous to you, because I can do things like this. Fire style, Phoenix Flower Jutsu, as she throws these Phoenix Flower type fireballs at Temari, to which Temari starts to basically use her fan to basically extinguish the flames, and all of a sudden she sees kunai, to which Tenten would be right behind Temari and release a punch to her back and a kick to her face, sending her flying into a wall, to which Temari will get back up and retort, unleashing her scythe. I don't know Temari's jutsus too well, but she unleashes her scythe, like the same attack that she used against Taoya. Yeah, that same attack. Now, this is where Tenten would then unleash a new jutsu of hers. This is basically gonna tire her out. And she starts weaving signs, to which Naruto sees this. And he tells Tenten, "Hey, no, don't use that." And Tenten looks up at Naruto and says, "Oh, put a sock in it, Naruto." And she says, "Fire style, great wall of fire." And she basically shoots this wall, or basically wave of fire, at Temari, to which Temari basically just fans away, but the fire then expands, and she sees Tenten coming out of nowhere with a dynamic entry. Basically what the fire was used for as a distraction, and Tenten used that distraction to her advantage and kicked Temari directly in the stomach with so much force, yelling out, "Dynamic entry!" And basically this force kicked her into the wall and put her unconscious, rendered her unconscious. So with that being said, Tenten won her match. Now, she took that lesson from Might Guy. She begged Might Guy to teach her the dynamic entry, and Might Guy said, it's a simple technique, and I can teach you it. So with all that being said, she did train with Might Guy some to basically improve her taijutsu skills. She often goes training with Rock Lee and Might Guy to basically improve her taijutsu skills. Naruto trains her from time to time, but he more likely focuses on his own training, saying that, "I don't have time to train you every day. You should find someone else to teach you stuff." And Tenten would just put on a pout face, and Naruto would just sigh like this and say, "I have my own techniques to focus on." And she would just look at Naruto and say, "Calm down, I'm just teasing you. Alright, I'll find someone else to teach me stuff, but don't get mad if I show you up, Naruto." And with that being said, now the preliminaries would just go up basically normal. Now Naruto and Kiba will try doing everything he can with all his attacks, basically transforming Akamaru into a clone of himself, and the both of them doing a double fang over fang, to which Naruto would dodge and evade very easily. Now Naruto does tell Kiba that he's not going to hold back, and he's not going to kill him, but his slashes are going to hurt. So Naruto then cuts Kiba directly across the back, and then cuts Kiba directly across the chest. And this is where Kiba's, basically will start to cough up blood from this, because he didn't get punched directly in the stomach hard, as you can feel the force from the punch that hit Kiba. Now, of course, Kiba would look over and to find out that Akamaru is knocked out unconscious. And Naruto would say, "I did it earlier. The moment when you two came at me with your double fang over fang attack, I seen Akamaru, and I managed to hit him with a devastating lightning kick to the stomach. And that knocked him out. It's surprised. I didn't think that would work since he's a clone, but I guess he feels the same damage. Now, of course, you're on, I want to say this now, Kiba. You have no need to continue this fight. You're fatigued. Your partner is knocked unconscious. What do you have in your arsenal now?" As Naruto is looking at Kiba with a very crazed look, Kiba just raises his hand. He raises his hand and says, "Okay, I know when I'm beat. I forfeit." Now everything would play out normally, and this is where Naruto would stop Gaara from breaking Rock Lee's leg and arm. And most of the people would be shocked by this. Even Might Guy, who was behind Naruto, saying, I am shocked by this, because from what I've heard, you only care about yourself." And Naruto would look at Might Guy and say, "Who told you that crap?" "I care about others. It's just that I don't trust a lot of people. The only person I seem to care about and trust is my comrades, my sensei, and Tenten." Naruto's face grew red by saying that, and Tenten would see this. And even he would stop Hinata from getting attacked. Basically getting damaged by, not Naruto. It wouldn't be Naruto. I'm take that back. It would be Sasuke who stopped Neji from hurting Hinata any further. And with that being said, Naruto was about to do it, but Sasuke seemed some care and some sympathy for Hinata, and That right there. So he saved Hinata from Neji getting attacked. And this is where Sasuke would vow to fight against Neji in the final part of the tuning exams. To which would go, well, basically everyone would go to train. Now, Rock Lee is not injured, and Hinata is not as damaged as she was in canon because Sasuke stopped the fight from even progressing any longer than it need to be. So everyone would go to train with their said sensei. Now, Sakura would go to train with Kuronai. Sasuke would go to train with Kakashi, and Naruto would go try to find Jiraiya, to which Jiraiya would train Naruto and teach him some more jutsus, to which Naruto would sign the Toad contract, master the Toad contract, then Jiraiya would teach him the Rasengan, to which Naruto would master Rasengan. Jiraiya is seeing just how much of a prodigy Naruto really is. He's not just saying mastering this, it is, say for example, it's taking Naruto 2 days, so it took Naruto a full day to basically be on Gamabuta's head for a while. And it took Naruto basically 3 days to master the Rasengan. That's a lot. That's even saying a lot. It only took him 3 days to master that. Now, with that being said, all of that right there, Naruto is learning a bunch of new techniques. Now, with that, he starts to further his wind style techniques, basically getting more elaborate with his wind style. And also coming up with a new form of Rasengan. I mean, he hasn't mastered it yet, but he's getting the grasp of it. He wants to call it some kind of Rasen Shuriken, basically a projectile attack, but he's getting the grasp of it, but he knows that it's hard, so he needs to find a way to do this. And Jiraiya gives him the remaining weeks to basically train. He tells him the secrets of the Shadow Clone Jutsu, and basically Naruto then creates a bunch of Shadow Clones trying to split water. And Naruto knows that this is going to take a while. He only has 2 weeks to do this, and his training is very hard. Basically, he's going to need at least 2 weeks to master this jutsu that he's trying to create. So with that being said, Naruto basically shows up at the tuning exams and everything plays out. Now, with that being said, this is where Kankuro would go against Tenten. Now, Tenten basically comes up with some new techniques. She then basically cracks her knuckles as she then says to Kankuro, I hope you're ready, because my attacks now are going to be very devastating than they were when I fought your sister. Tenten's eyes would grow cold as her face would show no sign of emotion. She shows basically a sinister look as she unsheathes her sword, and basically she says a jutsu in her mouth, flame style, and her sword coats in flames. But these flames then turn from red to orange to blue. And she then says, I can shift the color of my flames from the intensity of the heat. I have a high infinity for flame style, or fire style. So then Kankuro just says, I forfeit, not worth it. No, I'm done. Kankuro then journeys back up to the stands, to which Tenten would look at this and be very angered by, and then call Kankuro a cowardly bastard. Kankuro would feel a tick by this. And he would then jump back into the stands, to which he would say, never mind, I take that back. I'm gonna put you in your goddamn place, you feet. To which, when he got back in the stands, Tenten would be right in front of him. And with the blade to his neck, Kankuro would barely duck, to which Tenten would then look below and slash with a very fast strike, to which Kankuro would jump back, unleashing his puppets, to which Tenten would see that Kankuro is dripping blood on the ground and he's breathing heavily from the attack that just happened. Kankuro grips his chest and he then screeches because it burns. And Tenten then says, so, you forfeit. Then you came back. Then I wounded your chest. And then you unleashed 2 puppets. You're not worth my time. You are weak. You should give up this life as becoming a ninja. And this is where Tenten will unleash her sword at Kankuro. And she would tell him to basically give up this ninja lifestyle. You will not beat me. And Kankuro would say, don't get cocky, as Tenten is right above Kankuro, slashes the chakra strings that he had, basically controlling those puppets, and then slashes him on the leg, slashes him on the arm, and then cuts him directly across the face, to which Kankuro would then jump back, grabbing his face and screaming out in pain, to which he looks at Tenten, and Tenten just basically looks at him with a very crazed look. Now, as Kankuro is getting ready to forfeit again, his hand would be suddenly missing, and his hand would be gone, as Kankuro would scream out, to which the proctor would say, this match is over. Tenten would look at the proctor and basically come back to her senses and say, okay, well, you're lucky he saved you, because the next strike would have killed you. And then Tenten sheaves her sword and walks back to the stands. To which Naruto is basically smiling at this. He looks at Tenten, to which both of them are basically gleeing over her match. They're basically having excitement over Tenten's match. Naruto is congratulating to her to how far she's came, and Tenten is basically shy about this and basically blushes about this. Sorry about moving so much. But anyway, with all that being said, now Naruto going against Gaara, Naruto going against Gaara, and Neji going against, well, Sasuke. Now, before that even happens, the attack on Konoha happens because Konoha's hand's missing. Now, the attack starts immediately with everything going bonkers, to which Gaara would start to basically emanate his chakra and start to transform, to which Kankuro and Temari would try to lead him out of the village, to which they would get him out of the village, and, well, Kankuro would try his best. He stitched his hand on basically as much as he could, basically trying to do some surgical, like, stitching to himself. He managed to get his hand back on, and he does have a little bit of feeling, but healing is not there yet. He still has stitches around his hand, and he doesn't have much feeling there, but he can feel like he can't feel his hand at all, just put it that way. So once they get out, Sasuke journeys behind them and enters combat with Gaara, knocks Temari and Kankuro, knocks Temari and Kankuro out, with Sakura joining him. The both of them get into a battle with Kankuro and, well, Temari, but Gaara starts to transform and knock the both of them away, to which Gaara starts to fight Sasuke and Sakura. Now the battle would be way more intense, and Sakura would never get captured. Now, Naruto would be in the village, and Kakashi would come to wake Naruto up, to which Naruto woke up and he would say, "So where's my match against wait, what happened?" Naruto would look around, and he would see Tenten on the ground. He would wake her up and say, "When did we fall asleep?" And they would see the destruction that's happening around them. Now, Naruto instantly says, "Oh, man." He rushes before the Sound Force could even put up the whole barrier-like jutsu. Naruto rushes in there with Tenten in tow, and the both of them are in there with the third Hokage, looking at Orochimaru. And this is where Naruto says, "It's you again. I smelt you. You think I'm gonna let you kill someone I know as my grandfather?" The third Hokage will look at Naruto and smile by this. And this is where Naruto would unsheath his blade, and wind would start circulating over his blade, as Tenten would do the same thing, and the both of them would enter a trance, to which Naruto would have his crazy eyes and a smile on his face, and Naruto would say, "This time, I'm going to kill you." And that's where I'm going to end part 3 to What If Naruto Was Sanemi's Reincarnation 14,000 subscribers special. Now, with that being said, you guys have a good day, a good night, and plus ultra. Good night, guys.
君の虜になって